Hello, and welcome back to another episode of He's a Rubber What? It has been far too long since we last recorded, but we are finally done with the Drum Island arc. And basically, I'm just going to ask Whaaa what she thought about it as a whole in the beginning, and then we'll go into the details. So Whaaa, what did you think about the Drum Island arc as a whole?
Overall, I felt like when I was first getting into it, I was like, oh my god, can we just get to Alabasta already? I can't take this emotional turmoil. Especially the fact that Nami got sick when I started liking her. I mean, even though I knew that they weren't going to die, like I knew there was no way that she could die. At least not yet, this like so early on in the series. She's not gonna die though, right? Okay, don't tell me. But I just felt like, oh my god, this is too freaking soon. I just started liking her, now you're gonna put me through the emotional turmoil of seeing her possibly die? What the heck? And then I felt some type of way over the fact that I felt like it was just so much effort to just get her to a doctor. It shouldn't have been that hard. And I'm gonna try really hard to keep this PG, but the entire time I was like writing my notes, it was just like effort after effort, and I was like so angry. But I'm happy we met Chopper. He is the cutest.
Oh, now you think he's the cutest.
I did not like him at first when we were first watching it, but after we got into his backstory and everything, I was like, poor baby. But before, he just irritated me because he just wouldn't like trust them, and I'm like, these people are the most sweetest you'll ever meet. Like, what are you so afraid of? But obviously, there's irrational fears and whatnot. You can't hate on somebody for stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, I liked it just because of Chopper. I understood that it was an important arc not only because of Chopper, but the arc had a reason for its existence, I suppose, even though I just wish that we would just get to Alabasta already, you know?
I think with that idea is that it was so hard to get a doctor because they weren't focused on... They get a cook, like, only halfway through when they realize that maybe getting a cook is nutritionally... Getting a good cook is good for everybody's nutrition, and it's a way for us to survive. Like, we don't have to worry about that, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't think about a doctor until Nami got sick, and nobody on the ship could help her because nobody had the expertise. And so I believe that they had, like, I think it's kind of like maybe a punishment maybe for them not prioritizing or them being naive to the fact that there are diseases out there. As a sailor, like scurvy, like when we met Johnny and Yosaku back before our long park, there are diseases that sailors have more often than people who live on land, and the fact that they just kind of like, oh, we'll just like wing it, that really, it's almost killed Nami. And so I feel like this is like a good lesson for them to learn, to like not put that stuff far away, but to get it done as soon as possible, you know?
And it also is another way, I guess, of showing their age, because at times I forget how young they are because of the amount of stuff that they're doing. I'm like, no teenagers out here freaking fighting a lieutenant, you know? But they are teenagers, and it is a very teenage thing to completely forget about healthcare. And who needs a doctor? I'm young and I'm free, and then one of their friends gets super sick.
And even the three, like Sanji, Usopp, and Luffy, like they were like, oh, I've never gotten sick before. Is it really that bad?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's like a joke in like Japanese culture, which is like, idiots, they can't catch colds because they're dumb, right? Yeah. So all three of them are dumb. They're like, oh,
I've
really?
Never been sick.
And Vivi's like, you're all stupid. Like, that's the joke. Yeah. But like Zoro too, like they're all kind of like, they've never been, like you said, they're young and they're healthy and they've never been sick before. So that was never really on their minds. Yeah. So it's a good thing that this happened to them. Now they have Chopper. Now they don't have to worry about getting diseases. Now they have sufficient health care at their disposal.
Yes.
What another aspect that I liked about Nami getting sick before they got into Drum Island was that everybody was super worried about her and they didn't know what to do and they were freaking out. And Vivi was freaking out because she needed to get to Alabasta as soon as possible, and Nami's like, yeah, let's go, like, it doesn't matter if I'm sick, we need to go, you need to help your people. And Vivi's like, yes, we need to go as soon as possible because they read that newspaper and like a development happened back in Alabasta. Decide whether or not Nami's health is more important than Alabasta's political strife.
Even though I feel like they wouldn't have been able to make it to Alabasta without her.
Yeah, like, because Dr. Kureha says, like, you would have been dead in, like, 2 days.
Yeah.
If you hadn't come to me in time.
Yeah.
I love how Vivi... Everybody's, like, very tense because Vivi's like, yeah, the fastest way to get to Alabasta is to go right now. And then she's like, but... the fastest way for you guys is to get Nami better and then go right now. And she's kind of realizing how important it is to take care of, like...
the people around you, the people that push you towards the things you need to get done. Without them, you can't do anything.
Right, that's true. Like, she's on their ship, too, as well. But she kind of... I feel like this is also a good, like, political lesson to learn because it's like, unless the people around you are feeling like they can trust you, how can you rule a nation, you know? True. Like, later in your life. Yeah. So I think she realized that, and it was a good lesson for her not to just put her country before everything else, but to put people before her country and before her and before everything else. So I really like that aspect. And also when... like, you were really curious because Nami was sick and she went out and Zoro was navigating while she was resting. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I was just following that cloud. We're going in the right direction. She's like, clouds change shape and they move. You can't just follow clouds. Yeah. And he's like, what are you talking about? She's like, you idiot. And so, like, that's just how important a navigator is for this journey, you know? Yeah. Like, they would be dead by now if they didn't have Nami. And so there was this, she was like, we need to go 180 degrees. Like, we need to go all the way back to where we came from because she felt something was wrong. And then after Vivi said, let's go and find a doctor for Nami, she faints. And then there's this huge tornado behind them right where they were headed. And if they had kept going, they would have died. Yeah. And Vivi was like, this is amazing. Like, no navigator could predict this with just, like, instinct alone. Like, Nami was just like, something feels wrong, let's go the other direction. Like, she didn't do any math, she didn't, like...
she just had that in her, which is so amazing. I cannot believe... you should have slapped me from the beginning. And
what?
No Nami slander is ever allowed after this arc, I feel like. At least coming from me. Because, like you mentioned, when she noticed something was different in the air, she was still, like, super sick, but she was, like, pushing herself. When she was out on, like, the deck or whatever it's called, when she was, like, noticing the air, you could tell that, like, her cheeks were red and everything. She was just, like, getting there to the point where she was about to collapse. And she was still like, no, I need to do my job and figure out what's going on here. It's beautiful. She's beautiful.
You know, it still hasn't been explained, like, how she's so good at being a navigator. Maybe she's just innate in talent.
Yeah.
But I have, like, a theory that her, like, maybe she's from a line of families that, like, are really good with weather or something like that. That's what I think, because, like, unless you do math, like Vivi said, like, why is she so instinctually, like you know, when birds migrate and they just, like, know how the weather is going to be, like,
it's
they
a
feel
part
it,
of their,
like nature, right? I think it's the same thing with her, but she's just a human being. Maybe that's just my theory. I don't know if it's true. I'm just thinking outside of the box.
I don't know. Maybe I didn't even think about it. I was just like, that's just her, man.
Yeah,
she's just amazing.
True. That's true. But that's the prelude to the Drum Island arc, and then we finally get to the Drum Island, and I feel like Drum Island is really just hyping up Vivi a little bit, because we didn't get a lot of her character back in Little Garden, like you said. You were very indifferent to her at the end of that arc. Yeah. But in this arc, she really steps up, and she's taught some things, and she also teaches Luffy how to be a better leader, which I really like, because he's not the best leader at the beginning of the series. He's very action-oriented. No diplomacy. Yeah, that's true. Very impulsive. And so when the citizens of Drum see that there's a pirate ship coming into the harbor, they have every right to be like, you are not allowed on our island, like, you're a pirate, like, what the hell?
Get the heck out of here.
Right. And they were just like, no, we just need a doctor. And then they start shooting. They shot Vivi. They scraped her, I think. Mm-hmm. And then Luffy was gonna go, like, berserk. But then Vivi's like, it's okay, I'm only grazed. Like, we need to relax. We need to prioritize Nami's safety. And she even talks down to him. She was like, if you're supposed to be a leader, how can you, like, resort to violence all the time? And she even, like, destroys not his confidence, but, like, his way of doing things.
Yeah. And I feel like she really opened his eyes. And that's something that, like, Luffy had to be reminded of that constantly, I feel like, in this arc. When this is jumping a little bit, but when him and Sanji were taking, what's her face? Nami up the mountain. Yeah, and they encountered those huge rabbits. Sanji kept having to remind him, dude, you have somebody on your back. Like, you can't fight right now. Like, your goal is to get her up in the mountain. I feel like it's not only coming from a place of, like, impulsiveness, like, even though it is coming from that place as well, but it's also coming from a place of, like, protection. Like, he would stop everything to just protect them in that moment without even thinking about it. It's like he has good intentions, but
he's not thinking it through,
he's
right?
Not thinking it through.
And he's not putting he is putting their safety first, but in the way that he does it. And the way he does it sometimes is going to put other people in pain and injury, right?
Right.
So definitely this was a lot of learning in the beginning for Luffy about being a leader and about reining in his impulsiveness a little bit. This definitely starts that trend of that, and he understands a little bit more. He even tells Vivi, he's like, wow, you're amazing, like, you made them stop, and like, I didn't even have to fight them, you know, with all that. So I really like this arc and the fact that it's making him grow as a leader, but also maybe showing us a little bit more about Vivi and how she's very fit to be a political leader, and like how she risks her life to save Nami and her people in Alabasta, and
she knows how to talk to people. She's very diplomatic. She knows how to quiet down, which is great. That is what you need in a political leader. Speaking
of political leaders, what did you think of Dalton?
Okay, so I liked him. Okay, he's been in Drum Island. I keep forgetting what it's called, but Drum Island since the beginning.
Right.
When Warple or whatever his name is. Oh, first of all, Wapple. Okay, I will have to rant about that guy. I hate him so much. He's the most irritating villain. Like, he's not even a villain.
Is he worse than Buggy?
He's worse than Buggy in that he's just so, like, he's not even a threat in my eyes. He's not a threat. Oh, you can eat. Okay, moving on. Like, where's your... I feel like this entire arc was not even, like... You know how usually each arc is, like, villain versus the Straw Hats, villain versus the Straw Hats. I feel like this arc was the Straw Hats versus the Weather Fit, Warple, whatever his name is, Wapple or whatever. He was not... He was just like, hey, I'm also here, but oh my god, this storm. Because... At the end of the day, who beat them up the most? It was a freaking storm. It wasn't him. He didn't do anything. But
that's a good way to think about it. It's the Strads versus nature.
Nature Mother was beating them up this entire time. But Dalton, I really enjoyed him. Even though I feel like in a couple of arcs I might forget him not even a couple of arcs, in a couple of episodes, I feel like I'm gonna forget him. He was important in the storytelling. He helped give them the backstory of the island and everything.
What do you think about Blackbeard? So the pirate that attacked them that made Wapple run away was named Blackbeard. Are you... And we know, like, historically in our world, Blackbeard was a pirate.
Right.
I read about him in my history of pirates, and apparently he had a bunch of guns. Like, he never reloaded his guns. He just had, like, 20 guns on him, and he would just shoot them until they were out.
That is so wasteful. Just get more ammo. Why do you need so many guns?
No, because back then it takes time to reload a gun in the 1700s, 1600s.
That's true. There was an automatic... But anyway, yeah, he was cool. Honestly, I feel like this entire arc, I was just like, I'm over the villains. I just want Nami to get better, I want to move on. But are we gonna see more of Blackbeard?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, then I guess I'll pay attention.
That's why I'm asking. Okay. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, he was cool. You know, like. I feel like that's such a disappointing.
Yeah.
He was cool.
But we haven't seen anything about him. Like, but the fact that he was strong enough to make Wapple run away and like an entire kingdom, like he made the entire island on his knees, like militarily. Yeah, you know. So that's just how powerful he is with his crew. So. Watch out for Blackbeard.
So he's intense, is what you're saying?
He is intense. Excited. That is a word to describe him.
Okay, that's okay.
So I'm just saying, keep your eyes out for Blackbeard. Very important for moving on to the story. So Blackbeard is a pirate. He comes and he makes the government run away, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He pillages the entire island, and then he leaves. So that's why the citizens were so, like, against pirates coming, not just because pirates are pillagers, but because Blackbeard came and destroyed their nation a little bit ago.
Mm.
Also, this country doesn't have doctors. So...
Okay, so can we just talk about what is wrong with this dude, Walpole? I don't know why I keep thinking of saying Warp, whatever the heck I was saying earlier. What's up with the 20 MD thing? Like, why are you that hell-bent on just making your people suffer? That takes such an innate, like, evil in you.
Mm-hmm,
like,
right.
It's just going out of your way.
He's a spoiled brat.
Ah!
He's a spoiled brat who has power. Like, what do you think? Like, you've watched Game of Thrones, right?
Right.
So anybody who's spoiled and has
true.
a terrible personality who has power is gonna use it in a bad way, right?
Yeah.
So it's that. He's literally a one-note villain.
Yeah.
Like you said, he is useless.
Yeah.
But he's there to move the plot along, so...
That's fair.
I hate him so much. He's so annoying.
So annoying, dude. I found myself, honestly, I feel like this was the first time in One Piece where I watched most of this arc by myself, and I was just, like, skipping through all his... I was like, I'm over you, dude. Okay, eat, whatever. I don't care. But honestly...
Delfruit was dumb, too.
Yeah, like... But Chopper. Let's talk about Chopper.
Yeah, so what do you think about Chopper?
I really didn't like him at first. Not really. I just was kind of like, okay, you're the doctor? Really? This is the guy that I've been waiting for? But I was unfair to him. I feel like I'm always unfair to new characters. I don't know why, but I was really unfair to him just because he was not giving them a chance, I feel like. But after seeing his backstory and everything and how he was treated by the other reindeers because of his cute little blue nose.
Yeah.
It's just,
I think it's just like a genetic defect.
Yeah.
He could, like, albino rabbits, like, they exist, right?
Yeah.
He just had a blue nose, and, like, his tribe, I guess, or his, not a clan, but, like, his herd, yeah, that's a better word. His herd was like, nah, we ain't about that. And I think it was his dad, maybe, like, or maybe, like, the chief of the herd.
Yeah, the big dude.
The alpha male was like, get out of here, you're different. And so he, like, had that discrimination, and then he ate the human fruit, which turns anything into human. So let's think about that for a minute. So we've understood that animals can eat devil fruits and humans can eat devil fruits.
Which is pretty cool.
Right.
Does that mean we're going to be seeing more animals with devil fruit?
Yes, definitely. That is...
He's the second crew member with a devil fruit now, besides
Yes,
Luffy.
Yeah, he is.
Are we going to get more people?
Yeah.
So they're just going to get stronger. I feel like... Chopper is... I feel like the reason why I also like him so much is because he's a threat that you don't see coming. Like,
right.
Looking at him, I would honestly be like, oh, you're so cute, like, let me pet you. And then this dude could literally, like, break me, you know? Like, I love that. I love the slyness of it, his character.
He learned how to become a doctor from Dr. Kuina. Kuina? I don't know. I'm gonna say Kuina like Zoro's childhood friend. No, her name is Dr. Kureha. So, but they just call her Doctorine. He calls her Doctorine, Chopper does. And she was, like, the best doctor there, and she didn't join the Ishi 20. So Ishi in Japanese means doctor, so the doctor's 20. And in the Netflix, they translated a like, MD 20, which is, like, the one thing I will give them. Like, that is a good translation of that phrase, because, yeah, it's just a shortened version of doctor in Japanese. I don't know what the full version of doctor is. Yeah. It's like Ishi 20, so it's kind of like MD 20. I really like that part. So good on you, Netflix. You did one thing right.
You got brownie points from Safa.
Yeah, but you can also sponsor us, please.
Dude, that'd be so cool. Sponsorship. That'd be insane. I think we would get an Audible sponsorship.
Right. So Walpole made the worst insurance policy possible for his country, and he ran out all the doctors because this nation was very good with, like, doctors and stuff like that. And then he got 20 doctors for himself, and only 2 doctors were left on the island who didn't join him, the Ishi 20, which was Dr. Hiruluku and Dr. Kureha. I am nailing these names today. And they were the only 2, and Dr. Hiruluku was actually just a quack doctor.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't an actual doctor.
Okay, I think I remember
he turned that guy into a frog, remember?
That's true.
In the flash. You thought he was an actual doctor? I feel like he's more of like a metaphorical doctor, like a doctor for the mind and the soul.
He's getting there. He was getting there.
What did you think of Dr. Hiroku and Dr. Kureha?
I liked him a lot more just because he was funnier to me, and that lady I think irritated me only because, first of all, she just didn't match. Like, she was old in the face and young in the body, and I'm like, I don't like this whole thing. And also the fact that she was just, every time when Luffy, and this was like the beginning half of the arc when I watched it like weeks ago, so if I'm forgetting something, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But when they were first getting Nami up to that mountain, and they were Dalton was explaining everybody like the backstory of the island or whatever, he was like, oh yeah, she's in the other town over, actually. She's not on the mountain. That irritated me. I was like,
oh, that was just like kind of like, oh, we just missed each other.
Yeah,
and they did that like 10 times.
I think it irritated me the most because this entire arc, I was sitting on the edge of my seat like, is Nami getting better? No. Is Nami getting better? No. Like, what is happening?
This is what you get for hating on her.
They were really punishing me. I feel like this show is just punishing me emotionally every time a new character is introduced or something happens. There has to be emotional turmoil.
Yeah, I really like Dr. Hiroku because he's thinking in like the big ideas. He's not thinking like, oh, somebody injured their leg, somebody injured their arm. He's thinking like this country, like he wants to cure the country from this corruption of Whaaa, and he's like, I believe that I can do it, and he believes it so much that he prides himself on doing that. Like, when he was younger, he used to be a thief. Like, he would just steal stuff, but then he got this incurable disease, and he went to every doctor in the world, and they were like, you're not gonna be cured, and then he saw a field of sakura trees, or cherry blossom trees. Do you know what those are?
They're really big in Japan, right?
Yeah. So in the spring in Japan, sakura trees bloom, and they're very pink in the color. And you know when Chopper does that move where he uses his big arms and he goes like this and he implants the guy that looks like a sakura leaf. That's why he does that. That's why that's a thing. They're very like rebirth, and like because it's like springtime, so it's after winter and all that rebirth stuff. And even in Washington D.C., there's an entire park next to, I don't know where it is, filled with sakura trees that they got from Japan when after World War II, I believe. Like, they forgave each other and they're like, we're friends now. And so Washington D.C., I think, is the only place in the United States that has sakura trees or cherry blossom trees. I call them sakura trees because I've watched too much anime. For one, it's like cherry blossom is just a mouthful. But yeah, it's very reminiscent of rebirth and springtime and renewal, basically. And so when he saw those trees, he was cured of his disease, supposedly, and now he thinks that he can cure an entire country using that method of seeing something very pretty. I guess that's the idea. Like, medically, do you think that could work? You're studying in that field.
No. I mean maybe mentally, like, I know that when somebody has a will to live, like if they're actually pushing hard. I think I've like only read one study on this. I don't even think I read the full study. I probably read like the abstract or whatever. If somebody is actively like pushing themselves to live, they have a higher chance of living. And if you're in a better mental state, you have a higher chance of like surviving whatever disease you're battling, you know? Because mentally, if your mental health is deteriorating, your body deteriorates. Your mind has a huge effect on your body, basically. Right. So I understand that aspect of like trying to make people fit, but it's not going to cure your disease. Yeah. Which is kind of sad. I wish I could be like, yes, it does.
No, but there's an aspect to that. Yeah. There's a truth to that.
Yeah.
I think I hear about it a little bit. Like, there are some people who, like, they get cured because they have the mindset to, like, survive. Like, people survive cancer a little bit longer. Like, oh, the doctor says you have, like, 2 years and you survive, like, 5 years, you know? Yeah. Just because you have that mindset of, oh, I'm gonna get through this, you know?
And I've even seen the opposite of that, where people no longer have the will to live, and or not even have the will to live, but they just stop caring, and that just completely, like, drains their body, and they don't care for themselves anymore, so their body stops caring for it, you know. I right now especially work with the elderly, and I've seen a lot of elderly clients of mine that just stop eating, stop drinking food, stop moving, and so when they do that, you know that the end is coming.
Right.
You no longer want to keep pushing. When you don't have that push, when you don't have that good mental state, you're done for, basically.
So he was trying to put that aspect of his experience into saving the country. Like, we need to medically save this nation from corruption. Yeah. And he's like, and I have a way to do it. Whoa there, past versions of Whaaa and Safa. Take a chill pill. We are almost past the 25-minute mark. We're gonna end today's episode right here, and next week's episode will pick up right where we left off. See you next time on He's a Rubber What?